Hey everyone, happy Friday. I'm here with another Facebook Live, and I'll be honest, today's content is going to be short, sweet, and to the point because what I have for you is short, sweet, and to the point. So I'm bringing up this topic too because I had a really good conversation with a business owner the other day who's implementing this really well in his marketing strategy. I know a few entrepreneurs who are already doing this too, and I think it could help you, especially if you're at a place where you don't have a lot of time, but you're not at a place where you can hire out or outsource kind of content creation either. So today's topic is repurposing content. And it basically means, well, okay, let me go back. You might have an idea of what it means, or you might not have any idea what it means. So let me just go ahead and give a basic definition. Repurposing content means when you create information from pulling from other information. So an example could be if you see an article online, right, and you create a graphic that is a statistic, I don't know, you pull a quote, a graphic, and create a graphic and share it on social media. That's repurposing content. It basically means putting time into creating something and then pulling information from it so you can create more information. Right? So, and the trick with repurposing content is that you want to make sure you're creating content in a way that is repurposable, and you want to do it in a way that will be effective, that will make you put as little time and effort into it as possible so that you can get maximum results. All right, so we're going to talk about how to repurpose content, ways you can repurpose content, and then also what not to do when you're repurposing content. All right, so the first step to creating content or repurposing content, sorry, I'm going to say the word content a lot, and I realize it might get a little bit redundant, but bear with me. So, all right, so the first thing with repurposing content is creating hero pieces of content. And what does that mean? It basically means creating content that is juicy, it's meaty, it has a lot of good information in it that you can then pull to create smaller pieces of content. And for me, I found that the three best pieces of content that can be repurposed are either blogs, video series, or podcasts. And the beautiful thing with this is that you only have to do it once a week, 4 times a month. All right, so for me, I'll be very transparent. I'm repurposing this Facebook Live. I'm not just putting it out there so it can die, right? I'm going to repurpose it by putting it on my blog. And then on my blog, I'm going to share that blog with my LinkedIn audience. And then I'm also going to share it with my Pinterest audience. So you get the idea. It's really easy to repurpose blogs, videos, and podcasts because it has enough information. It's juicy enough to be able to pull from and then reuse in different ways. All right, and it only takes, it's only 4 times a month, 1 time a week. So if you have time to be able to put into creating a blog or a video series or a podcast, I would say do it. I will say also that podcasts do take a lot of work. So, and blogs also take a lot of work if you're not good with writing. So I think the easiest way to create kind of hero content is creating videos like this, or videos that you create at home and then you share on your business page. Point is, as long as it's a blog, a video, or a podcast, and it has enough meat to it, you can repurpose it in different ways. All right, so the next thing, once you create your 4 blogs, your 4 video series, or your 4 podcasts, however you want to put it, then what you're going to do is you're going to splinter off concepts from your hero content into smaller pieces of content. So I kind of talked about how if you were to create a blog, you could then, for example, pull a quote from it and create a social media graphic of the quote and share it on your page. You could, if you're doing a video series, you could create video sound bites. So if it's like a 30-minute video, you could kind of pull bits and sound bites from the video that are really impactful and then share them as smaller videos on your social media page. If you have a podcast, you can pull small audio clips from the podcast and then share it on your social media page too. Something else you can do is create graphics or infographics. So if your blog is talking about some type of, I don't know, process that can be visualized, you can create a super simple infographic that kind of, visualizes the idea and then share it on social media. So the point is being really creative with pulling as much information from as you can from those hero pieces of content. Because as a business owner, your time is so valuable and you don't have a lot of it, right? I mean, we all have 24 hours in a day. And as a business owner, you can't just be sitting around making content all day. You signed up to be whatever the business is that you signed up for. So when you're creating content, you want to make sure that it can be repurposed and you're using it and implementing it as much as you can, because the most frustrating thing is creating content that then it slowly dies and then no one ever sees it. Another thing that you can do too is you can, if you have an email list, you can send out those hero pieces of content to your email list. So for example, if you have like a monthly or a weekly newsletter and you created a blog, what you can do is you can send your email newsletter your blog, right? Or you could even send your email newsletter your video series or your podcast series or whatever it is. And then from there, it really just goes back to making sure that you're taking as much time to repurpose the content you're creating in the best kind of way. All right, so another thing to keep in mind too is that if you've been creating content for a while, if you've been keeping up with a blog for a while, a video series for a while, or a podcast for a while, what you can do is you can go back into your archive and see blogs that maybe could be updated, right? You could update them because sometimes you might have written them in a timely kind of way and they aren't as relevant. What you can do is just go back, update them, and then pull from them again. Or you could do the same with a video series, or you could do the same. I mean, it's kind of harder to do that with a video series, but especially with a blog, you can always go back, edit it, update it, and then share it again. Because the thing is, when you're creating content, not a lot of people are going to remember what you posted about even a day ago, very honestly. So don't be afraid to pull from things that you've already created in the past, because you created them for a reason. They can be repurposed in some type of way. All right, so I hope that makes sense so far. If you have any questions, by the way, go ahead and put them in the comments, or if you're watching this in the replay, you can say replay, or if you've learned something that's resonated with you, just say nice in the comments too, just as a note. So the last thing to keep in mind with repurposing content is that the biggest thing is that you don't want to regurgitate verbatim. So, for example, if you created a video, and you're sharing it on different social platforms, it's okay to use the same piece of content. So it's okay to share a video several times throughout different social platforms, but what you don't want to do is use the same caption or use the same caption, because then if people are following you on different platforms, they might get annoyed, or they might feel like, hey, I've already seen this on LinkedIn. Why am I following you on LinkedIn and Facebook if I'm going to be getting the same thing? So a really good way to think about repurposing if you're sharing the same piece of content on different platforms is that you just use a different caption, or you put a different spin on it, or you explain the piece of content in a way that is relevant to the audience. So if it's on LinkedIn, put it in a way that's geared more towards business owners. If it's on Facebook, put it in a way that's geared a little bit less professionally and more, whatever your audience is. So that's really the biggest thing to keep in mind. And I'll be very transparent with you. Social media managers do that all the time, because we can't sit around and create different unique pieces of content every day for every single platform that you have, right? We have to be smart with what we're doing too. So that's a strategy that we use all the time, and it's something that you could be implementing as well in your business. So I said that it was short, sweet, and to the point because it's true and because I'm done with everything that I had. So let me go ahead and recap really quick when it comes to repurposing content. So as long as you're creating some type of monthly blog, monthly video series, or a monthly podcast, if you're putting time and effort into creating hero pieces of content or content that has a lot of substance and is meaty and juicy, you can create other content from them into your social media pages, into your email list. You could even do a thing where you're repurposing hero content to create other hero content. So like I said, I'm creating this video series every Friday, but I'm repurposing it onto my blog as well. So those are two hero pieces of content that I'm repurposing in that way too. So so as long as you're creating a blog series, a video series, or a podcast series, at least once a week, 4 times a month, you can pull from them. And then the last thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to regurgitate verbatim. You want to make sure that whatever platform you're sharing it on, whether it's a social platform, whether it's on your website, whether it's for your email list, you want to make sure that you're putting a spin on it in a way that is relevant to that audience. And the easiest way to do that is just to create a caption that, is relevant. It can still be the same piece of content that you're sharing in different places, but just make sure you're creating a caption that is different. Or, for example, if it's on Instagram, make sure you add the hashtags. If it's on Facebook, make sure you don't have the hashtags, making sure that wherever you're sharing it, it's relevant to the platform, but just changing the caption in a way that it's not verbatim, right? So that's all I had for today. It was really short, sweet, to the point, and that was my intention. So I hope it was helpful. Feel free to, if you have any questions about strategies for repurposing content and how to plan it in your day, specifically with like time blocking or however, I'd be happy to help with that too. So go ahead and put that in the comments. I hope you have a super great Friday and a great weekend. So I'll talk to you soon next Friday. See you guys.